Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Day 2 of the 12th ASEAN Universities International Conference on Islamic Finance. I am Zahia Balindong Haji Saleh, and I am honored to host you on your second day of the AICIF 2024. To begin today's program with blessings and guidance, I invite Professor Majdi Jalal to lead us in the opening dua.
Let us invoke the divine presence of the Almighty. قال ربكم ادعوني أستجب لكم. And the Lord has declared, call upon me, I will respond to you. نعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. We seek refuge in Allah and be with the first. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. الرحمن الرحيم. مالك يوم الدين. إياك نعبد وإياك نستعين. اهدنا الصراط المستقيم. صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. اللهم إنا نسألك من الخير كله عاجله وآجله ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم ونعوذ بك من الشر كله عاجله وآجله ما علمنا منه وما لم نعلم. O Allah, we ask you for all goodness now and later on, that which we know and that which we do not know. And we seek refuge in you from all evil now and later on, that which we know and that which we do not know. Allahumma inna na'udhu bika min ilmin la yanfa' wa min qalbin la yakhsha' wa min nafsin la tashba' wa min da'watin la yustajabu laha. O Allah, we seek refuge in you from knowledge that does not benefit, from a heart that does not humble itself, from a soul that is never satisfied, and from a supplication that is not answered. Ya Hayyu Ya Qayyum, birahmatika nastaghith, aslih lana sha'nana kullah, wa la takilna ila anfusina tarfata 'ain. O living, self-sustaining sustainer, by your mercy we seek assistance. Rectify for us all of our affairs, and do not leave us to ourselves, even for the blink of an eye. O Allah, as we continue with our program, we humbly ask you to bless the second day of the ASEAN Universities International Conference on Islamic Finance, and make it a source of beneficial knowledge and wisdom. Ya Nur, Ya Razzaq, the light, the bestower, may the success of this event resonate far and wide, inspiring meaningful contributions to the promotion of Islamic finance as a tool for sustainable peace and development. Ya Fattah, the opener, the grantor of success, we ask you to make this conference a source of innovative solutions that address challenges and unlock opportunities that will drive equitable growth and foster harmony in our communities. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وأدخلنا الجنة مع الأبرار يا عزيز يا غفار يا رب العالمين آمين.
Amin Ya Rabbal Alameen. Let me just remind all attendees to have your barcode scanned for attendance. This is essential to confirm your participation, as a certificate will be provided based on the recorded data. Now, we will proceed to our first keynote address of the day, to be presented by a distinguished scholar in the field of Islamic finance. It is my pleasure to welcome the President of the International Council of Islamic Finance Educators, who will be speaking on the theme, Building the Future, How ASEAN Can Guide the Growth of Islamic Finance in the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Emeritus Dato Dr. Muhammad Azmi Umar.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin sayyidina Muhammadin wa ala alihi washabihi ajma'in. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Amin. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Friends, brothers and sisters, conference participants. Alhamdulillah, this morning I'm given the honor to speak, to give a keynote address on a topic entitled Building the Future, How ASEAN Can Guide the Growth of Islamic Finance in the Philippines. On behalf of AICIF, I would like to thank MSU and all participating universities and of course participants of this conference for inviting me to share my thoughts on this topic, and secondly, to be with the great many minds of similar nature who are interested and keen to develop Islamic finance in the Philippines as well as in our region and globally. The topic that I chose is basically to look at the Islamic finance in ASEAN, not globally, because I've seen some of the presentation yesterday talked about global. I want to focus on ASEAN and to look at how we can learn from each other, how Islamic finance practices in the region, and how we can learn and support each other. At the same time, I will be talking a bit on a topic related to Islamic finance, what we call Islamic social finance, because to me it's important for a country like the Philippines, but more importantly, it's about how we should expand Islamic finance and Islamic social finance and integrate both Islamic finance and Islamic social finance to become a very powerful tool. Because bear in mind that Islamic finance as defined and practiced is not enough if we do not bring in the element of Islamic social finance. And I will give an example that is being implemented in Malaysia. Given the short time, I would not be able to share the Indonesian experience because I'm involved in many countries. I'm also advisor to many government as well on Islamic finance, but I will show one example that is implemented and my also discussion to bring that practice into the Philippines, particularly in the Mindanao area, using technology, digital technology for Islamic social finance. So let me begin by looking at, this is ASEAN. Just to recap for those who do not know, there are 10 countries in ASEAN. Okay, 10 countries in ASEAN. We have, okay, where did it go? Okay, so we have from Vietnam, Myanmar. Vietnam, you have Muslim population. Myanmar, you have Muslim population, small percentage. Thailand is slightly bigger Muslim population. Laos, very, very small. Cambodia, we have Muslim population. Now, of course, Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei, Philippines, and Indonesia, we have that. But again, I would only use 3 countries as example, the Brunei, Malaysia, and Indonesia. Some data on that, okay, because these are significant Islamic finance percentage and market size. Okay. If we look further, out of the 10 countries, we have a population of 673 million population in ASEAN. It's a big number, 673 million population in ASEAN, and Muslim population is estimated to be 275 million, which is 41% of ASEAN. Very significant population. Of course, in the Philippines is smaller percentage, but if you look in the ASEAN percentage, more than 41% of the ASEAN population is Muslim. So huge market potential. And then in terms of the Islamic finance, market size using US dollar as a basis, this is at the end of 2023, we have $278 billion, 44% of the banking assets in Malaysia are Islamic banking. Secondly, Indonesia is about 7%. Bear in mind here, let me recap, this is banking. I'm not talking about the whole Islamic finance market. Islamic banking in Indonesia is about 46 billion, 7%. Brunei, the highest percentage of Islamic finance asset, 61% now. The original reported at the end of 2023 was 57.4, now it's 61%. A figure given by the Central Bank of Brunei to me. Okay, so this is the most correct figure. And nobody can deny that because it came from the Central Bank. Market size, of course, although percentage is high, but the market size is only about 9.975 billion US dollars. So it's small, percentage-wise. Okay, it's big. Next. Okay, if we look at in terms of understanding the market in Southeast Asia, we see that, and this was also discussed briefly yesterday, we see that in terms of account ownership, and this is based on a Global Findex report, you see that Singapore and Thailand has the largest percentage of individuals having account. Bear in mind, I use the word account, not banking account. Account here meaning banking account plus digital wallet account. Okay, digital wallet account. Singapore and Thailand has the largest percentage, followed by Malaysia. The Philippines is a very small percentage. We have 3 columns there. The first column is about adults. Second column is about women. And the third column is poor adults. And you see from this graph, you see that in the context of the Philippines, women is below adults in the sense that women only has 47%. Only 47% of the women in the Philippines, again, this is 2021 data, not the most recent data. And this data is from global index data. Of course, the central bank would say, Bank Center would say, we have a different percentage. That's true, but this one is when you want to compare across countries, so you need to have a common denominator. Okay, so that's why you find that the statistic is different from the World Bank data with the national data. Okay, and this is for comparison purposes. Poor adults, 34%. So the issue of financial inclusion in the Philippines, in Cambodia, for example, Vietnam is not 0% because there was no data. They did not complete the survey on time. That's why it was not reported. Okay, if we move further, sorry, okay. If we move further, one more. Sorry. Did I miss? I'm sorry. Yeah. If you move further, if you compare the countries, Malaysia from 2017 to 2021, Malaysia retained about 88%. And you see that Thailand, very significant jump, initially lower than Malaysia. Malaysia, if you look in 2017, 85%, Thailand 82%, right? But look at 2021, Thailand jumped to 96%. In terms of individuals having account, versus Malaysia, it's only marginal increase of 3%. Why is this so? The reason is very simple. All government financial assistance in Thailand uses digital wallet. The government provides financial assistance on condition that you have to have a digital wallet account. In some countries, they still use cash transfer. Therefore, you do not have people having bank accounts or digital wallet account. So that's the reason why Thailand is successful, and Malaysia is doing the same thing now. Since last year, this year, using the same approach, using the digital wallet. So the most recent report will show Malaysian will have a high percentage. And as we discussed yesterday, it's important to have financial account, a bank account, a digital wallet for the purpose of financial inclusion, for the purpose of providing cash assistance and many other government services. Okay, let me just go further a bit, and this one I go very quickly. This is about the internet users' mobile phone. It's very important to have those internet connection, mobile phone. You have a phone, it's not enough. You need to have smartphone. Not the individual is smart, the phone must be smart. You know, because sometimes the person who owns the phone may not be smart, but the phone must be smart. Why you need to have smartphone? Because of the financial inclusion. You want to provide all those financial assistance through digital means. Okay? And these are some of the statistics. I will not go that much, but, and it was discussed also yesterday on the fintech market. But what I want to show is that, let me just go back here, see that in the case of Philippines, the economic growth has been very positive for the country, okay, in terms of GDP, and then you have the BAM area. So these are all positive growth for the country. So you look at Philippines, 5.5%, quarter 4, 2023, and especially remember that we are post-COVID, you know, so things are moving in the right direction for many countries in the region. As I mentioned to some individuals or some friends this morning, the next growth will be in Asia, not in Europe. The next economic growth will be in Asia. You know, many reasons. I will not dwell that much because we don't have time. Okay, so you see there is a lot of potential for this. Why Asia is the net growth, and particularly within the context of ASEAN? One important reason is the population dividend. The percentage of young individuals is very high in ASEAN, not Asia, because Asia, Japan, China, Korea, they are facing aging population. But ASEAN, most of the countries in ASEAN have young population. So we have that dividend, the positive growth for youth population, positive growth for internet because they are internet savvy, they are the biggest users of TikTok, social media, and so on. Okay, so potential to use social media, fintech for financial inclusion for Islamic finance. Okay, so as you can see from all these statistics, these are all proven. Okay, it's just for Philippines, and if you look at other ASEAN, it is the same thing. Okay, let me just, if you look in the context of Philippines, one is, of course, the active participation in the ASEAN economic community is a major tourist destination. However, although Philippines has a lot of tourists, but it is not capitalizing on halal tourism, Muslim tourists. And halal tourism will be supported by Islamic finance. So you need to have that. The twins, you may have Islamic finance, but without the halal sector, you may not be able to grow. It is also very important to have halal tourism financed by Islamic finance. Because in some countries, you may have halal hotel, but the hotel is not financed by Islamic finance. So you need to link that. You may have halal restaurants, but the restaurant is not financed by Islamic banks. It's financed by conventional bank. You know, so you may have end-to-end kitchen halal, but the whole operation is financed by conventional finance. So we need to link that too. And it's very important for policymakers, and particularly in the BAM area, to ensure that Islamic finance support halal food, halal tourism, halal sector. Okay. And I will just skip this slide. Okay. I will go into, based on that overall perspective of Islamic, of Philippines, the Philippines, then we may go to look at how do we then use the experience of neighboring countries to support Islamic finance, and that, so that we can learn from the practices of other countries. You know, if you look at the present stage, Islamic finance has a lot of convergence with sustainability. So that's the reason why you see today, when we talk about Islamic finance, the principles of Islamic finance converge well with sustainability, and that includes ESG, environmental social governance, works well with sustainable development goals. It's very much in line with that. And there is a lot of work that looks at sustainable development goals vis-a-vis Maqasid al-Sharia, the objectives of Sharia. Again, I will not dwell into that because of the limited time. So that's one. Secondly, it is also consistent with impact investment, ethical investment. Okay? When we talk about investment nowadays, just like when we talk about Islamic finance nowadays, we did not just talk about Islamic finance providing financing. We want to see what is the impact towards community. And as I have done in many forums, as well as advising banks and financial institutions, I will always tell them that, so what if you give 100 million financing to a country, to a community? So what? Okay, most banks report this year our loan increase, or our Islamic finance increased by 50% from 100 million to 200 million, for example. The question is, what is the impact to the community? That is the key thing. Has it addressed, for example, poverty alleviation? Has it created jobs? You know, those are the key questions that are now in the Islamic finance space that we discuss. And that refers to what we call, apart from the annual financial report, an Islamic financial institution must also create sustainability report or impact report. The impact towards community, to the business, to the SMEs, and so on. And we see this happening in Indonesia, in Malaysia, for example, impact report or sustainability report, together with the annual financial report. Okay, so it's important to measure that. And secondly, with that, we have the issue of financial inclusion. And third is, of course, Philippines has issued, December last year, the first sukuk, and more sukuk will be issued. But bear in mind, there are many types of sukuk. We have the typical normal sukuk. We have now sustainability sukuk. We have impact sukuk. We have green sukuk. And soon to be blue sukuk. What's the difference between all these? Colors. No, I'm joking. Green refers to sustainability, environmental sukuk. Blue refers to marine sukuk. Okay? Sukuk dedicated for marine conservation, marine projects. So these are all different colors, talking about, you know, how we can use sukuk for specific purposes. We also see mobilization of funds for SMEs and micro. So what you see is, for example, using the concept of Islamic finance for Islamic social finance, and for Islamic microfinance, and a term called blended finance, which I will show later on, combining both Islamic commercial finance plus Islamic social finance, the usage of sadaqah, wakaf, and zakat in financial institutions. Because typically you see in conventional banking, conventional banks only provide loan, and at most what they do is they have some funds for CSR, corporate social responsibility, to support certain marginalized group, but not in Islamic banking, Islamic finance, the usage of zakat, okay, and sadaqah and wakaf is used by Islamic banks to support, and this is part and parcel of the firm's DNA, okay, DNA, how they support groups, okay. the poor groups and so on. So there are methodologies on how to go about doing that. And I will show one example later. So what we see in ASEAN is Malaysia, is always the leader in Islamic finance. And one of the key reasons why Malaysia is strong in Islamic finance is because Malaysia's Islamic finance is supported by all. By all means that Muslims, Christians, Buddhists, Hindus support Islamic finance. Different political parties, government, opposition, all support Islamic finance. Okay, so whenever any law, any bills that are brought to parliament in Malaysia, everyone support. So there is no issue of opposition parties or non-Muslims not supporting the law. Okay, so that is a good thing happening in Malaysia. Because of that, you see in any report, Malaysia is always high. Okay. Secondly, you see Indonesia is very strong, huge market for financial inclusion, yet there are still issues in Indonesia. So hence, percentage of Islamic finance, Islamic banking is still small. Although population of Muslims there, nearly 90%, but you compare proportion of Muslims versus the percentage of Islamic assets does not correspond. Okay, so which means there's a lot of room to grow. Do not look negatively, but look positively in terms of room to grow. So a lot of positive things can happen. Singapore tried for Islamic finance, they failed, but now they focus more on the assets under management, the very high private net worth individuals. And then Thailand is also another potential market, especially in the southern Thailand. Okay. So, Malaysia is 2025, the chairman of ASEAN, and the focus is on inclusivity and sustainability. That's the theme of Malaysia's chairmanship. Again, within the inclusivity and sustainability, the focus is also using Islamic finance for inclusion, for sustainability. Okay. So, let me just skip. I will not go into, I have all those information about Islamic finance. This was shared yesterday. But what I want to share is that one of the challenges in the Philippines is the issue of awareness, as we discussed. See, when you look at Islamic finance in a country, we cannot have Islamic banks without creating the whole ecosystem. Okay, we need to create an ecosystem, Islamic finance ecosystem. Okay, what do I mean by Islamic finance ecosystem? One is, of course, we need to have regulation. Okay, the right regulation, and that regulation will depend on the development of Islamic finance in a country. So that's one. Secondly, apart from the regulation, we need to have public awareness. And public awareness require all the time. You need to continue to educate the public, the business community, the regulators. You need to, small and medium enterprises, you need to have regulation, awareness at all levels. I'll give you an example. When Malaysia first started Islamic finance, one of the key things we did was, we introduced Islamic finance in the mosque. Because mosque, what we call tazkirah. You know tazkirah? Of course, after Maghrib prayer, after Fajr prayer, the ustads will be giving lectures. And most of the time, they'll be talking about prayer, salat, fasting. But you introduce Islamic finance in that tazkirah for people to know about Islamic finance. So you have the Islamic finance awareness at the grassroots level. You introduce at the school, incorporate as part of the curriculum. So students know, so that when they graduate, at least they know, okay, I want to have a banking account, my bank would be Islamic finance. That's one. The other one is, as you have more percentage, one of the reasons people ask me why Islamic finance in Malaysia is successful, most banks in Malaysia use a principle called Islamic finance first. Islamic finance first. What it means, the model in Malaysia is you have like later on the Maybank, the conventional bank and the Islamic bank window. So when you go to a bank, let's say Maybank, to open an account, they will give you first Islamic account. without asking you. Then you may say, oh no, I don't want Islamic account. Then they give you conventional. So the default is Islamic account when you open a bank account. It's very important in terms of mindset. Okay? So because of that, you see in Malaysia, more non-Muslims are banking with Islamic banks because of that default in nature. In computer we call default mechanism. That is the default mechanism. So that's why you find the current account or the checking account, the savings account increases because of that policy. And that's something Philippines can also consider. So awareness, you also need to have like capacity building. It's very important. Capacity building means people who are managing the banks, people who are regulating the banks, people who are at the universities like MSU, to teach, to train people, not only to teach, but also to train people in managing Islamic financial institutions. This is very important. Then, of course, in relation to that, you have the law, the accounting, and so on. Okay, so what we need to do in this particular case is that we need to develop targeted solution. And one of the key things, as we know, in the Philippines, one is the issue of financial inclusion. Secondly, addressing the micro and the small medium enterprises. You need to address that. So addressing the micro, the small and medium enterprises, my suggestion is that we look at another model called blended finance. That's what I want to explain a bit more detail. And please, organizer, please check me on my time, because sometimes I may spend more than necessary. Let me know when I should finish, okay? So the thing is to use the Islamic blended finance. Let me just, these are some of the statistics, as I said. Let me just, we'll skip this. These are some of the policy recommendations. Financial inclusion, as I said, using blended finance, issuing sukuk, and then economic integration within ASEAN. Okay. Let me share one example of the blended finance. Okay. See, one of the things that we need to look at is using blended finance to address financial inclusion and also to help the micro and the small and medium enterprises. And yesterday we were told, I think more than 90% of the businesses in the Philippines are small and medium enterprises. Okay? So this is one of the challenges and one of the solutions that can be used to address this is the blended finance. And this is successfully done in Malaysia and Indonesia. Okay? As you know, when we look at finance, we have on one end the commercial finance, the one that banks are providing financing, where the banks charge a certain percentage as the profit for the financing. The other extreme is the philanthropic. Philanthropic means that you provide, donations or sadaqah without any return that you want. The philanthropic. Okay? Like sadaqah, zakat, these are philanthropic. Okay, zakat is compulsory, but considered as philanthropy because you're not going to get back any return. But then you have this social finance, the Islamic social finance, where we talk about using wakaf, wakaf and Qadu Hasan Fund to provide financing to the micro and small medium enterprises using this. And these are returns that we expect, but those returns are not commercial in nature, which means that you do not demand market returns, but you demand a sufficient return so that you can continue the operation of the fund. Okay, so that's the model. So, and this is called blended returns. So you have on one hand, the typical market returns, the financial return. The other hand, you are not looking at any return at all, the philanthropic fund, but you are looking for impact, which means that although I give money, it's not money that is gone down the drain, but I expect certain impact to be implemented. For example, job creation, poverty alleviation, that component. And then blended returns means that I want some return, but I also want some impact there. It's a combination. And again, as I'm showing here, This is not theory, okay? This is not a theoretical example. This is a real example that is being implemented in a number of countries. Okay. So, what I'm doing, I'm showing here is that a program called Smart Sawah. Sawah is a Malay term. I'm not sure whether, of course, Indonesia, the same thing, Sawah. But in Philippines, paddy farm, what do you call it in your language? In your language, okay. In Malay, we call it sawah. Okay, sawah. Smart scale sawah, and the other one is the AICIF financing. These are all blended finance examples. Okay, so I'll give you an example here. This is where now I'm wearing another hat. I'm the president of a university. This is where my university is involved with this project. We measure the impact before the project is implemented, currently, as well as the completion of the project. From a pilot project now, we are doing a large scale farming, and we measure all those impacts. Remember I told you about blended finance must have impact, so these are measurements. Similarly, MSU can be involved in the impact study in this particular case. Okay, so you have land, idle land. So this idle land, you want to farm rice, paddy. Okay, you want to farm paddy. Bear in mind, this project utilizes combination of zakat and wakaf and sadaqah. So the three components altogether, Islamic social finance, plus important component, bank financing, Islamic bank financing. So it's a combination. Okay, it's not one single source. For example, that machinery, that machinery is under wakaf. Machine, the tractor is under wakaf. Okay, the land is a wakaf land. So you imagine, now you're very creative now. Machinery is under wakaf. Somebody fund that machinery through wakaf. The land is a wakaf land, idle land. Now it becomes productive through farming. Okay, and then who are the farmers? These are the zakat recipient, the farmers, the asnaf, the zakat recipient. So rather than you give money, now you create jobs for them. Okay, so this is the model. So zakat recipient. So the objective here is to turn from zakat recipient to zakat payers. From receiving zakat after they farm, they become payers of zakat. So this is what we call Islamic social finance in action. Okay, the model. Okay, so, so we have, as part, we measure the input, we measure the output, we measure the outcome, we measure the impact. All detailed. So it started with small, but now it's a big scale now. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, these are the initial project. Now it's much more. To get, while they farm, as you know, farming of paddy takes about how many months here? To harvest paddy? 3 months. Okay. In Malaysia, it's not that productive. Normally, in 1 year, it's only 2 seasons. It's almost like 5 months. But there is also a place in Malaysia where they are able to do, in 2 years, 5 crops, 5 seasons. In 2 years. So they're trying to do that in 2 years, 5 seasons, 5 harvests. Okay? But while waiting for the paddy to be harvested, you need to have income. So you have fish breeding, duck breeding, and side crops to give you the cash income. Okay? So, and then we measure in terms of the land size, the output, the zakat collection, okay, and by area. Okay? The objective is to create productive use of land, income and job creation, community empowerment, impactful measurement, as well as the zakat payment and zakat receiver. Okay? And what is the impact? We measure in terms of food security, because you need to have food security. You look at poverty eradication, you look at income inequality issues, productive of land, climate change risk, you need to measure that, as well as the GDP measurement for that region and for that state. Okay. So, after the implementation, you can see the land from 25 hectares to 163 hectares because of the first successful implemented, so 163 acres. The percentage of poor people increase also, the number, because as they see the result, more and more people want to join the scheme, the program. And, okay, the output from 143 tons to now 1,227 tons of output of paddy. Okay? And then from zakat recipient, they now become zakat payers. From receiving zakat, because of the success, now you are able to pay zakat. So that's how you change the model. Okay? In terms of net profit, from 141,000 to 644,000, profit increase. And then in terms of income, per month, from 23,000 income to 107,000 income increase because of the efficient use of the model. So, what this model shows, okay, three components. For poor farmers, first is the use of zakat. Okay, they are the recipient of zakat, the asnaf of zakat. So first they receive zakat, so that is the seed capital using zakat. Second component within this is the wakaf. The machineries are based on wakaf. So for the farmers, they don't need to spend anything. What they need to do is to become active farmers. The land is given, they receive zakat throughout the, let's say, the 5 months, they receive zakat, but part of the work, they get supplement from selling of, ducks and so on. Okay, the machineries are based on the wakaf principle, and then they get structured training. That structured training is also using zakat fund. So they don't need to pay for that training. So training in terms of farming and so on. And then those who are successful, you get microfinancing. And that microfinancing comes from the commercial finance from the Islamic bank. Okay, so now you see zakat money, wakaf fund, and commercial financing from Islamic bank for the microfinance model. And these are the Islamic banks that participate. Okay, that participate. So they created, for example, 9.8 million just from the Islamic social finance for the first project. And now it's being replicated and expanded further. Okay. And these are some of the things. So the program in Malaysia for that project is called Project Hassan Project for the farming. For all the Islamic banks, it is called AICIF, and this was also discussed yesterday. But what is important, I want to stress, is that in this example, is that you're able to have more business opportunities, business growth. You're able to create more employment. You are able to also create financial resilience. And also another component is digital upskilling. And this is where I want to stop and explain it further. You see, to implement this model, there are a couple of prerequisites that we need to have. And I also recently, just I think in September, I trained the regional managers of Islamic Development Bank globally. They came to KL. The Islamic Development regional managers are in KL, in Bangladesh, Jakarta, Istanbul, Kazakhstan, Nigeria, Morocco. They came and I showed this model. And I said one of the key things to implement this require, one is a good implementation of zakat management, which means that you need to have a good collection of zakat, you need to have a good distribution of zakat, and also you need to have transparent reporting of zakat, which means that when you pay zakat, you should know what happened to your money, that zakat money. Not that it goes into one hole and nobody knows what happened to that hole. You need to have a reporting system to address one important element, the issue of trust and transparency. Okay, trust and transparency is very important. Let's say you give zakat, at the end of the year, you do not know what happened to that money. Is it used for productive purposes, or it goes to the pocket of those who collect zakat? So it's important to have that trust and transparency, which means that you must have a reporting mechanism. And part of that reporting mechanism requires impact measurement, okay, and impact reporting. That's very important. So one of the states that we use in Malaysia, because remember, Malaysia is like Philippines, you have regional, and Islam is being managed by each region in Malaysia. And one of the states that AICIF, or we work closely, is with zakat, Kedah, in Kedah. Although I come from a different state in Malaysia, but Kedah is much more innovative in managing their zakat. They have an application, zakat application, where you see real time how much zakat is being collected, how much is distributed, real time, through application. Okay, so if you download the apps, you see how much is being collected from which part of the state, part of the region. For example, in Cagayan de Oro, Marawi City, and the others, real-time data. And then real-time distribution, you get that data. So people will see how much being collected, how much being distributed, and where it is being distributed. You know, transparent reporting is done there. So that's very important. So why? Because you want to create trust. People will see zakat is being used properly, and there is annual report, written report that you can download and see how it is managed efficiently. So to do this is that, I think for the first thing, important thing in the context of BAM is to address the issue of zakat management. Okay, you need to address the issue of zakat management, which means that in terms of zakat collection, it should be centralized, not given to individual, but more centralized, so that you can have more impactful project, then you can measure that data. So you need to have a very professional, transparent zakat collection, zakat management, and zakat distribution. So for this zakat distribution, you can use this example of blended finance to support the poor, okay, for job creation. And I'm sure in BAM you also have wakaf land, which is idle. So using wakaf land and using zakat for farming purposes. So you create jobs, you address the issue of poverty, and you use technology to support this. And as I mentioned to Brother Razi, we are very supportive of what BAM is doing, and that technology can also be brought here to support the development of wakaf, of zakat in the BAM area. You know, that digital application can be done. So it's very important at this stage for us to look at zakat, wakaf, not merely as a religious requirement, but as a financial products that can be used to address financial inclusion, that can be used to address poverty alleviation and job creation, to do that. Okay, so in the end, what we want to achieve in this particular end, this is the last one, is that you want to empower the underserved and unserved market by creating jobs, by them changing them from zakat recipient to zakat payer. You want to make impactful contribution, and then you want to provide zakat wakaf beyond just every day, because if you implement these projects, they have a sustainable living, continuous, because they will be doing the farming continuously. And it also achieves the country's sustainable development goals, because you address the issue of job creation, poverty alleviation. Okay, so with that, I ended my presentation. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Professor Azmi Umar, for that insightful keynote address. To express our heartfelt gratitude, we kindly ask you to remain on stage to receive our humble token and plaque of appreciation. To present this award, may I now invite MSU's Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance, Attorney Saaduddin M. Alawiya, and MSU System Assistant Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Hasmina Dimalna, CPA, to join us on stage. Let me read the citation. Mindanao State University and International Council of Islamic Finance Educators present this plaque of appreciation to Professor Emeritus Dato Dr. Muhammad Azmi Umar, President of the International Council of Islamic Finance Educators and President and CEO of International Council of Education for Islamic Finance University, in grateful recognition for sharing his invaluable expertise and experience as keynote speaker during the 12th ASEAN Universities International Conference on Islamic Finance. Given the 7th of Jumada al-Awwal, 1446 al-Hijri, 19th of November 2024 at Limkit Kai Lux Hotel, Cagayan de Oro City, Philippines. Signed, Attorney Saaduddin M. Alawiya Jr., CPA, Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance, MSU Marawi Campus, and signed, Attorney Basari D. Mapupuno, MSU Marawi Campus Chancellor and MSU System President. A round of applause, everyone. We're having the photo op. Next, we have Plenary Session 3, which will delve into the role of Islamic finance in sustainable development financing. This session will explore the potential contributions of Islamic finance in promoting sustainable development and mobilizing resources for effective use toward sustainable objectives. We have a lineup of experts in Islamic finance and development economics who will provide valuable insights on this topic. To do the honor of introducing our speakers and administering the smooth flow of the plenary session, I am pleased to introduce our moderator, who is a development communication specialist of Mindanao State University's Communication and Media Studies Department. She is currently the director of the MSU Mindanao Cultural Heritage Center and the Office of Information, Press and Publication, Dr. Sir Haila Lateb Yusuf.
Thank you very much, Madam MC, Ms. Sahiya. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuhu. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this AICIF 2024 plenary. At the same time, the plenary speakers for today. For the panel discussion, we will be discussing the role of Islamic finance in sustainable development financing. I will be your moderator for this day, and joining me here, inshallah, are the best among the best on this topic. And so we will have our first speaker to join us here on stage. We have our head of the PhD program in the International Islamic University in Malaysia. Please help me welcome Dr. Zaid Marwan Mujahid Said Azman. Another panel speaker is, of course, our very own from the Mindanao State University. We have a professor from the MSU main campus, Dr. Minumbao Ramos Mayo, JD. Ma'am. Followed by our professor also, a representative from the Universitas Islam Sultan Agung, Professor Dr. Noor Hidayati. Ma'am. And the last but not the least, and he said he's the cutest. I would like to emphasize that. The cutest panel speaker, the Dean of the Islamic Banking from University Islam Sultan Sharif Ali, or UNISA, Dr. Muhammad Zaki bin Zaini. MashaAllah. Ladies and gentlemen, today our panelists will bring with us their diverse perspectives and expertise, ensuring a rich and insightful discussion. Now, before we begin, please note that we will have our question and answer session after the delivery of all of their PowerPoint presentations. They will be given 10 to 15 minutes, and our timer is over there, to give us their insights on this topic. So ladies and gentlemen, let us start with Assistant Professor Dr. Said Marwan from IIUM Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance for his topic on sustainable development and finance and the role of Islamic finance. Sir, take it away.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Rabbi shrah li sadri wa yassir li amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli. Kamusta? Magandang umaga. Salamat po, Ma'am Moderator, for the kind introduction. Salamat for the organizers for providing me with the opportunity to share my thoughts and present the topic today on sustainable development and the role of Islamic finance. Now, let me jump to the topic today. Right? As we know and we are aware of, in recent years, the landscape of banking and finance has experienced quite a shift, especially when it comes to what we call sustainable consciousness. So nowadays, as we talk about sustainability, it seems that everyone is doing sustainability. Everyone is proudly proclaiming that we are committing to sustainability, we are eco-friendly, and everyone is showing off their proud badge of environmental responsibility. So with all these claims of sustainable practices, right, I think we have to ask the fundamental question first. What is sustainability? It is a term that we encounter daily in product labels, corporate reports, government policies, webinars, conferences. But do we actually know what the definition of sustainability is? Can I get a show of hands? Who knows the definition of sustainability here? If you can just raise your hands. Anyone knows the definition of sustainability? It's a very important topic. We are talking about it today. Right? So, yeah, maybe we've heard about it, we know about it, but do we really understand what the definition is? Right? So, we usually fall back to the definition that the United Nations have provided, which is sustainability is where we meet the need of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs, right? So when it comes to sustainable development financing, this is where it is related to the financial strategies, instruments and resources that are directed towards achieving sustainable development goals and environmental, social, and governance considerations, the ESG. So, if we understand sustainability, I believe we must also understand unsustainability. What is unsustainability? Right, so as we delve into this topic, let me start as an academician with setting the context and problem statement. Right, so academicians, they like this problem statement. When we do research, we start with problem statement. And this relates to the state of the global financial system. The world where we are living in today is predominantly influenced by capitalistic financial system, and this system runs on the idea of profit maximization. Okay? And in other words, everyone, given their resources, will act in a way that can give us the highest returns, the highest profit, the highest satisfaction, or the highest pleasure. And most of the time, unfortunately, this is done selfishly without consideration of the impact towards others. And as a result, as noted by economist Hyman Minsky, and I believe is echoed by many others, the current financial system is inherently fragile. And why do I say so? It's because it is inherent in the system where we have recurring financial crisis, where we have cycles of booms and busts, and this is driven by artificial manipulation of the money supply that is caused by central bank interventions in credit markets, where money is created out of thin air, and it is further intensified by credit towards speculative financial activities and add no real value or doesn't create anything. And this is unsustainable. Now, this fragility manifests itself in the recurrent economic booms and bust cycles. And you can see, basically, this is a natural phenomena that happens around 10 to 15 years. So there will be a period of booms, and then there will be a period of busts. And if you can see in the image there, it actually stops at 2018. So before the pandemic was happening, we see the trend was already going down. So the pandemic only worsened the situation, right? And it worsened the magnitude of the recession. And now we are experiencing some growth, we are experiencing some recovery, but I would guarantee you, in the next 10 to 15 years, we will see another crisis because of this system. So, one of the effects of this system is where we see basically a concentration of wealth among the richest, where here the data shows in 2023, 1% of the global population owns almost half of the total wealth in this world. So the adults that have less than $10,000 make up 40% of the world's population, and this 40% of the population only holds 1% of the world's wealth. And this is basically unsustainable. We also have we can see here in the slide here, basically the top 10 richest people in the world, if we combine their wealth together, are much wealthier than whole nations. You can see there Brazil, Australia, Spain. So they are all these 10 people are much richer than countries. And on the left side there, on the right side, we can see that during the pandemic, workers or laborers lost almost 4 trillion wealth during the pandemic. So the poor became poorer, But you can see on the blue box, this is where how much wealth is gained by billionaires during the pandemic. So the billionaires gain almost the same amount that the workers lost. They gain 4 trillion during this period. So this is unsustainable. So Islam reminds us against this unsustainable practice. In Surah Al-Hashr, Allah mentions, so that it, which is the wealth, may not merely circulate between the rich among you. And the ayah continues, and fear Allah. Verily Allah is most stern in retribution. Right? So, do we actually fear Allah? Do we want to allow this impact of the financial system to continue, where you see that the phenomena of the concentration of wealth among the rich is across the world? All the countries around the world, we see a trending graph of the rich gaining more and more of wealth. So we live basically in an unsustainable financial system whereby the rich also are allowed to pollute more. And here the data shows that the top 10% who own 76% of wealth, they contribute to almost 50% of global carbon emission. Okay? But when it comes to the effects, they will only suffer a relative income loss of 3%. And opposed to the poorest people who own just 2%, 50% of the poorest people just own 2% of wealth, they only contribute 12% of global carbon emission, but they will suffer 75% of income loss from climate change. And this is basically another effect of the unsustainable financial system, whereby the way we are conducting the financial system today is encouraging, or in some cases directly contributing to activities that ignore the impact towards the environment. And this is of course unsustainable, and as the data shows, last year was the warmest year since recorded history, and the past decade was the warmest historically, and we know that the poorest people and the poorest countries will be most vulnerable to this crisis. So if we look closer towards home, the effects of this unsustainable practice finance. So fundamentally, I believe this is in the aspect of how money is being used, in terms of how credit is being provided. And for Islamic finance, we must have the shift towards not only now, yes, we are doing halal, we are doing Sharia compliant, but there must be a shift of the tayyib element, which is the wholesome goodness. And this is where we must align the products and services of Islamic finance to be closely related with sustainable development finance. It means that we must have the aim from the get-go. When we develop Islamic finance, the products that we develop, the funds that we are channeling, must ensure that the impact of these products and services must go towards sustainable practices. And I actually provided a few examples, but I believe the keynote speaker, Prof. Azmi, has mentioned, our previous speakers has mentioned, the efforts in Malaysia. We have undertaken what we call the value-based intermediation. We have products and services that are directly linked to sustainability. We have the SRI Sukuk, we have the Green Sukuk, and the recent development is we have the SRI linked Sukuk, whereby the Sukuk must have a KPI, a key performance indicator, that is directly linked to sustainability from the beginning. And I believe this is something that we should replicate all around the world, and especially in the context of ASEAN and Philippines. Yes, you are developing Sharia compliant financing, but there is another level that we should strive for, which is on the fulfillment of the maqasid al-Sharia, and this is very much aligned with sustainable development financing. And I think that can summarize my presentation today, and thank you very much. Salamat po. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Walaikum assalam. Thank you very much, Dr. Said. Indeed, if we are not concerned, yes, Dr. Said Marwan Mujahid Said Azman. Thank you very much, sir. Indeed, if we are not concerned with whatever is happening with the world right now using sustainability, we might not be able to, or we will have the rich become richer always, and the poor become poorer. So thank you very much. To follow Dr. Said is also another Maya JD.
A'udzu billahi minasyaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. A pleasant good morning to all. My respect to Mindanao State University and her official, headed by no less than our very own MSU System President and Chancellor, Honorable Attorney Basari Hasanul Dimakota Mapapano, the distinguished dignitaries from the different ASEAN universities who are collaborative in this gathering or events today, presenters, colleagues in the Islamic Finance Educator, fellow student, other guests, participants, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. In this 12th AICIF 2024 International Conference in Islamic Finance with the theme Islamic Finance for Sustainable Peace and Development, Challenges and Opportunity. It is an honor, therefore, and a rare privilege for yours truly, Dr. Minombo Ramos Mayo, to be a panel discussant in session 3 with a topic, the role of Islamic finance in sustainable development financing. With this, thank you, organizer, for this opportunity. all my panelists discussants will be discussing the same topic, the role of Islamic finance in sustainable development. Okay. Okay. I think we already have a working definition of what is sustainable development because my brother has already provided the definition for that. Thank you, sir. No? Achieving sustainable development rests or is dependent on the availability of provision of development infrastructure. Another elements, very important elements in achieving sustainable development is, of course, inclusive growth. That is inclusive growth in such a way that nobody must be left out if there is development that will take place in each countries. Another elements of sustainable development is the creation of a decent job for everybody, not especially the vulnerable and marginalized members of the society. Another one is of what is happening due to climate change. We feel and experience the catastrophic effect of the climate change. So we need to have an environmental friendly technology. The other component of sustainable development is, of course, business processing engineering, adapting a process in managing business that actually promote inclusive growth. The last one is, of course, the availability of funds. Because all of these elements of sustainable development, without availability of funds, will be nothing. It cannot be achieved. Slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay. In fact, by CEMET, around $3.5 billion to $5 billion is needed every year to actually make a desirable progress on sustainable development goal. Further, a global level investment in infrastructure is estimated to be 100 trillion US dollar over the next 2 decades, according to Ahmad et al. 2015. Next slide, please. It is believed that Islamic finance and banking promises to play a significant role, especially in the Muslim world, in achieving sustainable development. Islamic finance also can enhance financial inclusion as it incorporates people who are excluded from Islamic financial system such as wakaf, zakat, sukuk, and takaful is actually playing a great role in financing sustainable development goal, especially funding educational and health institutions and other development structures such as water system, energy enhancement like that of the solar system or windmill. And maybe we recommend it to the Philippines to adopt it for our dancing light, no? Financial institution can be used to provide wide range of welfare services, such as I mentioned, educational institution, health institution, environmental preservation, and other development infrastructure for the well-being of mankind, for the general welfare services to achieve the sustainable development goal. The institution of zakat, wakaf, sukuk, and takaful can help in achieving sustainable development goal. Because as you know, that the sustainable development goal is actually a tall order. In fact, developing countries like the Philippines have still a way back to actually fulfill this one in 2030 as set up by the country. The first is end hunger, that is achieve food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. Next. Can we back? Okay. The second is, of course, promote, sustain inclusive sustainable economic growth that is full and productive employment and decent work for all. We have also gender equality and empower women and girls in our society. Also ensure inclusive, equitable quality education and promote lifelong learning opportunities for all. And the last is end poverty in all its form and everywhere. There is a convergence between the essence of the concept of sustainable development as well as the purpose of Islamic finance, and that these two actually concept is concerned on the balance between the three pillars of sustainability, that is environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, and social sustainability, which is directed on the well-being of mankind from spiritual, psychological, intellectual, and economic perspective. That is actually the core of Maqasid al-Sharia, which is actually facilitating the normal function of society by enhancing the public good, maslaha. This implies avoiding action that is likely to harm the individual and society, and the intent and objective and purpose of Maqasid al-Sharia is simply to achieve social and economic justice as well as enhancing the welfare of the community. In conclusion, we can say the Sustainable Development Goals are in consonance with Islamic ethos and principle, especially on Tawheed, Khilafah, and Akira that govern Islamic way of life. Islamic finance institutions like Zakat, Wakaf, Sukuk, and Takaful can contribute towards scaling up efforts in commercially non-viable but socially vital development project and program. There is much potential for Islamic finance to promote sustainable economic development through widening access to financing infrastructure project, and expanding the race of takaful. Islamic worldview and values framework strengthen and moral consciousness, urge pro-social behavior, and environmental ethics, which can help in influencing our attitude towards meeting sustainable development challenges. Terima kasih, Suhran. Maraming salamat. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning din po. Maraming salamat, ma'am. I cannot agree less with her that it is through Islamic finance and sustainable development, it will be in consonance with our ethos and Islamic principles. Thank you very much, Dr. Maya. Right, ladies and gentlemen, I am more interested with our second to the last panel of speaker, because she is going to discuss to us a different kind of perspective, and that is to attract the millennial generation in building sustainable development using the pentahelix strategy for Islamic finance in the digital era. So ladies and gentlemen, once again, let's have Professor Nur Hidayati, Dr. Nur Hidayati, to please give us your presentation. A round of applause, please.
When we went to back,
Press this one,
back and back.
back this one.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin, wassalatu wassalamun ala asrofil anbiya'i wal mursalin, sayyidina wa maulana Muhammadin. Rabbi shrahli sadri wa yassirli amri wahlul 'uqdatam min lisani yafqahu qawli, amma ba'du. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. First and foremost, I would like to extend my gratitude to the organizing committee, especially the chairperson, for this wonderful opportunity to share insight on a topic that resonates deeply with the values of sustainability and ethics in finance. To all distinguished guests, fellow speakers, and audience, thank you for you to be here. It is truly an honor to be part of this forum, where we come together to discuss and exchange ideas about the pivotal role of Islamic finance in shaping a more sustainable future. I will look at from a different perspective of Islamic finance, especially how to attract millennial generation as potential consumer in recent digital era. The objective of this presentation is to increase millennial engagement in Islamic finance for fostering sustainable development. This presentation This presentation explores how Islamic finance, with its emphasis on ethical and socially responsible finance practice, and effectively attract millennial. We will use a pentaholic models, a collaborative framework involving multi-stakeholders such as government, industry, academia, community, and media to address this challenge. Islamic finance has experienced significant growth over the past decade, especially in Muslim-majority countries like in Indonesia, and I think also in other countries in Asia. Its funds which prohibit riba, gharar, and ethical speculation ensure fairness and social justice in all financial dealing. This system is not only offer a faith-based alternative to conventional finance, but also aligned with global movement towards sustainable and ethical investment practices, such as emphasis on social justice and wealth redistribution. And I think this criteria of Islamic finance meet with the unique of millennial characteristic. So who millennial generation? Previous reference mentioned that millennial are generation who born between 1980 to 2000, I mean. So in recent 2024, their age around 45 years old to 24 years old. They are young worker in the industries. This means they are independent income and independent consumption. Moreover, millennials are unique demographic shaped by rapid technological advancement and global interconnectedness, and they are tech-savvy and digital native. They are usually continuous connected with the internet and social media influence. They are highly influenced by peers and online communities. Importantly, they are also prioritize ethics and sustainability in consumer behavior. They often choosing brand and services that demonstrate social and environmental responsibility. This makes them, I think, an ideal target for Islamic finance, which is inherently aligned with these principles. Understanding millennial behavior and preferences is crucial to effectively engaging them in the financial sector. Preference in digitalization, social media influence, and ethical driven will lead millennials' interest in digital payment solution, for example. Millennials are drawn to financial solutions that are digital first and accessible and have impact on environmental sustainability and social equity. Islamic finance has potential to capture this market by offering products like in the previous key speaker in the morning said, like green sukuk, blue sukuk, microfinance, and other social responsibility investment. Probably the audience agree with the statement that in the today digital revolution offer numerous opportunities for Islamic finance. Technology advantage such as blockchain, artificial intelligence, and fintech platforms can make Islamic financial product more accessibility and appealing to millennials. For example, like also I agree with the previous in the morning key speaker mentioned about the digital wallet, P2P lending and crowdfunding platform tailored to Sharia principle can transform how Islamic finance is delivered. This innovation product will make Islamic finance more accessibility to younger generation. After we see the opportunities, let's compare with the challenge of the Islamic finance in recent digital era. There are some challenges such as in the high competition, it means there are more players in the banking or finance industry. Conventional digital platform, for example, in Indonesia, known with the pinjol. Pinjol is acronym from pinjaman online, what we call it like online loans, but not follow the Sharia compliant, are widely accessible for the young generation, and in result more madorot dan manfaatnya. And then low financial literacy in Islamic finance result in limited understanding of Islamic finance concept among millennials. And the next challenge is need for Sharia compliant, because maintaining strict adherence to Sharia compliant principle while innovating in the digital space can be complex. Thus, addressing this challenge requires collaborative efforts across stakeholders to engage millennial interests use Islamic finance. This is the pentaholic model that I will offer in here. This is the picture of Islamic finance in pentaholic model, and there are 5 stakeholders. There are government, industry or business, university, social media, and social community. And through collaboration, each stakeholder can create a comprehensive strategy to drive millennial engagement in Islamic finance. Okay, let's see the role of government in the Pentaholic model here. The government is the key enabler of Islamic finance adoption through supportive regulation, financial incentive, and public education campaign. It ensures that Sharia compliant products are accessible and competitive for young generation. And then the role of the industry. The role of industry in the Pentaholic model is to innovate and deliver financial products that are both Sharia compliant and user-friendly to millennial preferences. The industry can bridge the gap between traditional Islamic finance and modern digital tools. And next, the academia roles. Academia play a fundamental role in advancing Islamic finance through education, research, and collaboration between academia and industry, such an internship or joint research project, to ensure students have practical knowledge and skill. So this project will help build a generation of professionals who are not only literate in Islamic finance but also capable of driving its growth. And I think our conference AICIF today has been played of this role. The next is the role of communities. Communities serve as growth driver of Islamic finance adoption, particularly by building trust and awareness among millennials. Community-based programs such as financial literacy workshop held by collaboration with mosque in the community or local organization able to be a media to introduce Islamic finance to young people. And the last is media. Media and social platforms are essential in raising awareness and promoting Islamic finance among millennials. Some social media platforms like Instagram, TikTok, YouTube provide opportunities to share engaging and educational content of Islamic finance principle or success story of sustainable investment. I will skip this one, but I think it also have related with the Makosid Syariah and SDGs, but I think the time probably, I will the end of the conclusion here. Mau what? Bisa. Which one? Okay, from the Pentaholic model, the challenge of Islamic finance or for millennial in digital era, such low literacy level, competition from conventional platform, and limited awareness of its benefit can be addressed using strategy, which requires multi-stakeholder collaboration. And in here, I can offer some strategy. The first one is education strategy. By integrating Islamic finance into school and university curricula to build awareness from an early age, as well as informal education through digital community for discussion of Islamic finance. The second one is technology integration strategy through offering intuitive digital platform that simplify Sharia compliant financial transaction. And the third one is collaborative campaign strategy that is collaborating with influencer and media to make Islamic finance relatable for young generation. And the fourth is ethical investment strategy by expand offering like green sukuk and wakaf based initiative that align with sustainable goal. Okay, but last but not least, I think we are able to point out from the presentation, uh, from my presentation is, millennials are not just consumer, but partners in shaping a financial system that prioritizes in digital, social justice, and sustainability. In the future of Islamic finance is not just talk about growth. In the early morning, the key speaker talking about how to build the room to growth of the Islamic finance. But I think it should be added by the not only talk about the growth, but also that about the building a financial ecosystem that serve society, protected the environment and serve the economy in a harmony measurement in the world and in the akhirat, I think. So I invite of the audience, let's continue working together to realize this vision, and thank you for the attention. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Jazakallahu khairan, Dr. Nur Hidayati. Indeed, the role of the millennials today have really this kind of importance to integrate technology. And I'm thankful that you have seen how important is media in the pentahelix model. Indeed, it is going to be something that we should be looking forward to and integrate in our lessons as people in the academia. So ladies and gentlemen, I am now going to share with you the last but not the least, and hopefully, as he said, the cutest, our doctor from the Faculty of Islamic Economics and Finance, Dr. Zaki Zaini, the Dean from the University Islam Sultan Shari Ali, or UNISA, Brunei Darussalam. Take it away, Dr. Zaini.
Okay. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursaleen. Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. First and foremost, before I start my presentation, I think I would like to dedicate 2 minutes of my allocated time to thank our MSU families, especially our Vice President, Sir Saududdin, our lawyer, Junior, for being very nice to us. My best friend here, Prof. Abdul Qadir as well, Prof. Sahraman, and all MSU families, thank you for the hospitality. I think I still remember we were greeted very nice at the airport. We were given medals. So I feel like it's an Olympic experience for us. So thank you so much to MSU. Really, so this really proven that Bangsa Moro is not only good looking, but also very sweet and generous. So thank you very much. So today my presentation will be looking at the role of Islamic social finance. I think in the previous presentations, even in the first day and proceed to the second day, everybody talks about the importance of Islamic finance, Islamic social finance. And I believe no one in this room would deny the strength and the importance of Islamic finance. Okay? So for that reason, in my presentation today, if you can go to the next slide, maybe I can maneuver from here. Okay. If we were to see it from a different perspective, I'm going to take it from a different POV. Everybody talks about what Islamic finance can contribute. And as mentioned by our Professor Dr. Sheikh Marwan earlier, everybody talks about sustainability. Even our institution talks about sustainability. So I'm going to take it from a different perspective. So before we go into that, I'm going to see on the role of Islamic social finance from ASEAN. As mentioned by Prof. Dr. Omar earlier, ASEAN consists of 10 countries. But most importantly, ASEAN has 3 main pillars. The first one is political and security. That's number 1, APSC. The second one is AEC, ASEAN Economic Community Pillar. And the last one is ASCC, Asian Socio-Cultural Community. So all these 3 pillars are very important. So we must vividly understand that these are 3 main pillars that we should know. Okay? So in ASEAN, these are the 3 striving pillars that we need to strive to. And in fact, we also look at SDG 2030. So The reason why I'm taking from different POV is to look at where we are at the moment. Now, let's look at the next slide. If you can go to the next slide. Now, if you look on the top there, that is where we are globally, SDG. It is estimated only 16% to be achieved. The remaining 83% is considered to be off track, or even in certain case, reversal progress. So this SDG supposedly to be a rescue plan for us. But now, our rescue plan need to be rescued. So there's need to be done for us to achieve SDG 2030. Now, we need to narrow it down to ASEAN. So even when we look in our region in ASEAN, there's so much disparity even among the 10 countries. If we look, Thailand is ranked number 1 among ASEAN countries. They are at number 45. But if you look at Myanmar, they have become a 3-digit, 120. Look at the big disparity. Even we cannot save our own neighboring countries, our neighboring partners within ASEAN. Huge disparity. So this is something that we need to be concerned of. And this is the question of where Islamic finance can fit in here. We keep on talking about Islamic finance can contribute here and there, but when we look at ASEAN region itself, this is the countries that really need investment in terms of Islamic finance. Now, if you go to the next slide, have you heard of CCPI? CCPI is another index. It was established by the German Watch in 2005. They look at 4 different domains. The GHG emission, the greenhouse gas emission. They also look at renewable energy, energy use, and climate policy. They're looking at these 4 domains. But the biggest weightage is on the GHG emission. Now, not all countries are included in this particular analysis, in this particular index, but there are 5 ASEAN countries included, considered to be big economies. And proudly to say that Philippines is leading among ASEAN countries. And in fact, they are among the top 10 of all 60 plus countries in this CCPI. So you guys are doing very well in terms of that CCPI. Second goes to Thailand, Indonesia, and Malaysia. So the reason why Philippines is doing very well is because they're doing so well in the GHG emission, which has the highest weightage. Now, if we go to the next one, so these are the 5 countries that I mentioned to you earlier, which include Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam, and also Thailand. No countries in the CCPI has been rated very high. The highest is high, which one of them is Philippines. So even Philippines has climbed up the rank from number 12 in 2023 to 6 in 2024. The next country would go to Vietnam and Thailand. Vietnam also doing very well. They used to be in number 40 and climb up to number 27. Same goes to Thailand from number 42 to number 25. But something is off with Indonesia and Malaysia. They used to be on the 26 for Indonesia and goes down to 36. And same goes to Malaysia. They used to be number 56 and then goes down to 59. So in terms of CCPI, Philippines is doing extremely well. Another index that we should also benchmark ourselves where we are in terms of sustainability is EPI. If you can go to the next slide. I think it's supposed to be, if you can actually fix that for the audience to see. Now, this particular index called Environmental Performance Index, they look at 3 main domains. The first one is environmental health. The second one is ecosystem and vitality, and the third one is climate change. So these are the 3 main domains that they're looking at. Okay? So the subdomains would be 11 categories, and the indicators, there are 40 indicators. So now it has included 160 plus countries in this EPI, Environmental Performance Index. So if you were to look at the ranking, where ASEAN is at the moment in EPI, if you look here, if you go to the next slide, hopefully, Now, maybe you weren't able to see here, on the first column, in the first table, they're looking at the Asia Pacific, the ranking of Asia Pacific. The top one is Japan. The second one from ASEAN is Singapore. Then from ASEAN countries, let me just focus on ASEAN countries, where we are at the moment from EPI. You guys can Google up and search Environmental Performance Index. Here they are. So Japan ranked number 1. Singapore is the first one among ASEAN countries. Then goes to Thailand and Brunei. Timor-Leste, although not considered to be ASEAN, but they are part of the observer. So maybe we can include that one as well. So Timor-Leste, surprisingly, is also among the top 10 in EPI scores. And of course, Brunei as well. In terms of environmental health, the objective of environmental health is to ensure to promote healthier population. And Brunei is at the top on the list. I think this is the first time I see that Brunei is on the top of the list. We're not doing so well in soccer as well. We got beaten by the Philippines 5-0, by Malaysia maybe by 12-0. So at least to see Brunei on the top of the list makes me quite happy today. Okay? And then goes to Singapore, and then Singapore, and only 2 ASEAN countries in environmental health, Brunei and Singapore. In ecosystem vitality, the only ASEAN countries to be in the top 10 is again Singapore, Timor-Leste, although they're not part of ASEAN, I'm just going to include them, Brunei Darussalam, and Thailand. The climate change, top of the list is Timor-Leste. And second, that also included here is Thailand. So in terms of EPI itself, we also see huge disparity among ASEAN countries. And not all ASEAN countries are even among the top 10. So there's so much things need to be done as well in terms of sustainability. So if we go to the next one, if you go to the next slide, let's look at the regional, in regional perspective, where Asia Pacific is in comparison to other region. Now, if you were to look at this, in this particular slide, Asia Pacific is ranked 6 if compared to other regions. On the top would definitely be the Global West and Eastern Europe. But us in the Asia Pacific, not ASEAN only, Asia Pacific, we are ranked on the 6th. So there again, a wake-up call for us. There's so much more need to be done from our side in this particular region. So, as I mentioned earlier, if you go to the next slide, as I mentioned earlier, Prof. Dr. Azmi Omar and the rest of our panelists have keep on mentioning what Islamic finance, or in particular Islamic social finance, can do towards SDG, can do toward ESG. We have been talking about this many times, not just here, but I still remember vividly we talked about it as well in last year's AICIF, the role of Islamic finance to SDG, ESG, sustainability. We keep on talking about it. In fact, some countries like, what I took from here is from KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. They even have included Awqaf or Waqaf in their Vision 2030. They even try to map to what extent Waqaf can contribute to SDG. So this is the commitment they have done. If we were to have this in our nation, in ASEAN region, that would also be great. So they have included this in their Vision 2030. Okay, and also in the SDG as well. Then, if you look, this is at nation level, at the country level. If you look at the next slide, if you go to the next slide, can we go to the next slide, please? Now, can we go to the next slide? Now, if you look at Waqaf An-Nur, one of the institutions in Johor, they also map the initiative to Maqasid al-Sharia and also SDG. So they have a proper metrics to do that. So this is a very good initiative. This can able to show us where we are at the moment in contributing to the SDG. This is what Waqaf An-Nur has done. And I'm only taking one of the initiative towards SDG, only one. The second, if you look at Dompet Du'afa as well, they also try to create a matrix and map the initiative to the achievement of SDG. So yet again, this is a very good initiative. And finally, on my last slide, my main point here is that we all understand that Islamic finance, Islamic social finance is very important. It contributes a lot to SDG and ESG. And I still remember Prof. Datin Rosni mentioned last year in our AICIF, we are not abiding to SDG. Islamic finance much earlier than even SDG. So even without SDG, Islamic finance is really for sustainability. We all know that. The only questions that we need to answer right now is the urgency. Are we really willing to do it? So it's the transition from NATO, no action, talk only, to WTT, walk the talk. When are we really going to do it? And even the main questions that need to be answered is by financial institutions and in fact IFI, Islamic Financial Institution. Are they really willing to sacrifice profit over impact? Are they really willing to do that? To sacrifice their profit over impact? This is the questions that need to be answered by the policymakers, even by the BOD or the big guys in the banks or in Islamic banks. Because in the end of the day, we all are being measured by our KPI in terms of profit-wise. So it's still contradictory. And finally, the main other question is that, to what extent do us in the ASEAN region really concerned about climate change? Because eventually, when we reach home, nobody really cares about climate change. Nobody really cares about SDG. We never even think about how much water we have consumed today. We never even considered how much energy we have used today. Eventually, we only talk about it in this particular room, and once we reach home, we never even talk about climate change after all. So I think that's all from me. Thank you so much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Dr. Zain, thank you very much. Now, ladies and gentlemen, before you will be thinking of giving your questions, I would like to take this opportunity to start the ball rolling with our beloved panel of speakers. Right, so thank you very much for what you have actually shared, because we can really see the potential of the ASEAN region to help us and to help the whole world really achieve this what we call sustainable development through Islamic finance. So let us first ask each of you to share with us some of your thoughts on how and this Islamic finance concept, as it is inherently aligned with the sustainable development principles or sustainability principles. How can these Islamic finance principles such as risk sharing and social responsibility, we also have contributions to achieving all of these, no, for the SDG 2030. So how do you see this? How can Islamic finance contribute to SDG 2030? In fact, you ended with your takeaway, and I noted that. I took a picture of it. As you said, the ASEAN's potential lead, no, to become the lead in sustainability through the strength of Islamic finance. So maybe we can start with you, Dr. Said, on your own takeaway also on all of the things that were shared in this panel.
Okay, thank you very much, ma'am, for the question. And I believe this is a very important question that we have to ask ourselves as we develop Islamic finance industry. And there's the key word that you mentioned there, risk sharing. So this is a principle that we like to talk about in theory. But when we look at the practice, when we look at the industry itself, I believe most of the practice is risk shifting, not risk sharing. So what we have to do, I believe, is we have to go back to our principles of Islamic finance. And these principles are inherently sustainable. And in terms of the practice itself, I believe for achieving SDG, when we develop the products and services of Islamic financial institutions, we must have that in mind from the get-go, meaning that the instrument itself must have the aim of sustainability from the beginning and not as an afterthought. After you do it, then okay, how do we link it with sustainability, right? So you have to have it from the beginning. And this may require, as Dr. Zaki mentioned, some sacrifice when it comes to the profit that we make. And it is a very hard thing to do because we are still under this capitalistic financial system where it's all about profit maximization. So for Islamic finance, we must have that shift, mindset shift. And I believe this can be done if we work together and if there is a will to look at the bigger picture, because at the end of the day, we want to ensure that we can fulfill our needs, yes, but also we must ensure that the future of our children can also be sustainable for to fulfill their own needs. Yeah,
Thank you very much for that, Dr. Said. In fact, it is really important that as we look into the different things in the world, we have to look forward, at the same time, think of the next generation. Thank you very much for that, Sir Said. And Dr. Ramos Mayo can also give us her own thoughts on this.
Actually, the principle of Islamic finance, such as risk sharing and that of social responsibility, can play a vital role in achieving the UN Sustainable Development because of its holistic approach and nature as pro-social. Islamic finance promotes equity and social justice between people, as contrary to the conventional banking that promote the interest of those, the primary interest of their, and that it promote really the rich, disparity between the rich and the haves and the have-nots, which is contrary to the UN Sustainable Development Goal.
Thank you very much. I agree. Because if we are really looking into the SDG 2030, the rich should not be richer. Instead, we will have a balanced way of looking at things. And with Islamic principles of zakah, for example, we can even enhance that. And I think all of our audiences would be agreeing to us. So maybe you can also add, Dr. Nur Hidayati, on that, on how we can probably enhance all of these Islamic finance principles in, and of course, addressing sustainable development.
Yes, and I think there are some similarities between millennials' preferences, Islamic finance solution, or strategy that enhance millennial interest toward SDGs. The millennial preferences will be captured and relevant in Islamic finance practices, which prioritize in ethical standard, social welfare, and sustainable development, will result in protection of, especially protection of wealth, and then protection of intellectual and protection of social welfare. In this protection is relevant to Maqasid Syariah principle, which designed to promote and welfare of humanity by safeguarding essential aspect of life. Furthermore, applying strategies to attract millennial generation into Islamic financial using Pentaholic model, I think relevant and promote SDGs principles such as SDGs number 8, related with decent work and economic growth, number 1, related with the no poverty, number 10, reduce inequalities, number 12, responsible consumption and production, number 13, climate action, and number 7, affordable energy, and the last is number 5, about quality education. So I think this is an opportunity for Islamic finance to adapt with the recent digital technology for the young generation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Alhamdulillah. And really, we have to embrace this digital technology because whether we like it or not, it's already on our face, not even at our what do you call this, in our doorsteps, but it's already on our faces right now. So thank you very much for that, Dr. Nur Hidayati, and good luck to all of the millennials. And now, a millennial himself would like to say something about this, because as you said, the Asians' role, no? The ASEAN's role right now is really crucial. So maybe you can add up to that?
Okay, thank you so much, dear moderator. I think my answer would be very simple. Initially I talk about the role of ASEAN, and then it goes to the role of Islamic financial institutions and also financial institutions. But actually, Islamic finance, the basic principle of Islamic finance, can start at home. So I think we as an individual, we can start and embrace the principles of Islamic finance at home. For instance, just to give you a real life example, I know a person who used to be unemployed but become very successful in his business because the support from his family. They pull a fund to seed a capital and he able to run I would say a thriving business. So there itself an example of Islamic finance. So actually, Islamic finance can start at home. I think everybody can play its role to try for Islamic finance and SDG. I think that's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I would like to agree with you because in the Moreno culture, we have that very strong relative and that clannish system that we help one another in the family. And that's, I think, one of the reasons why we did not really feel that, what do you call this? We became resilient after the Marawi siege. So thank you for that. So maybe we can now open one question due to the element of time. One question from the audience, and I am recognizing the head of the campus from MSU Maigo. Sir, Attorney Basar, please, yes, receive the microphone from the technical team.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very
Assalam.
much. I'm one of the audience yesterday that I'm supposed to ask the question in the first session, but we were not given the opportunity. So this session gave us an opportunity. Alhamdulillah, thank you for that. Especially that our Assistant Governor to the Central Bank of the Philippines was around. And Alhamdulillah, this is the second time around of the conference, AICIF conference. The first one is 2018 that was held in Makati. When I was the Vice President for MSU System, and I could still remember, I was the one tasked by the chair of the conference to introduce Secretary Benjamin Jokno at the time. Anyway, I'd like to address this question to one of our panelists, maybe my beloved Ati of the Mindanao State University. And if you cannot really answer it, treat it as a rhetorical question. Well, as presented and thoroughly discussed by the distinguished panelists, sustainable development is the goal of every country. Every organization, every institution in the whole world. Thus, the United Nations has even defined development, sustainable development in a broader term, because there are various approaches preferred depending on countries and institutions' orientation. As we all learned that sustainable development has components and requisites to attain this aim. We in the AICIF, an international forum, offer a perspective about Islamic finance leading to sustainable development. We Muslims are the very first people to believe that if Islamic finance system is realized, no doubt that it helps for sustainable development. One of the challenges that Islamic finance system is facing is the existence of the conventional finance system that has already rooted since then, and it is dominating in many countries, including Philippines. Now my question is, what could possibly be the most effective platform to realize Islamic finance, especially in the Philippine Muslim perspective, before millions of Filipinos can wait too long for them to get benefited of the Islamic prosperity brought by the Islamic finance system, considering that many of our communities, places belong to the poor provinces or communities in the Philippines. Number two suggestion is that, will it be possible that in the next Finance Summit of the AICIF, every member community of the AICIF will be given an opportunity to make an assessment and status report of the ongoing development of finance, of Islamic finance, in every possible aspect, to keep us all abreast of the growth of Islamic finance in our countries. This is intended to enhance our efforts and programs about Islamic finance. Jazakallahu khair. Terima kasih. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much also, sir. Well, Attorney Basar was able to give us an idea, and you may treat it as a rhetorical question, but also at the same time, he wanted to know the best platform, Ma'am Mayo, considering all of this all together. So maybe we can also respond to that, no? In as far as, for example, the areas of governance, for example, as I know that you are an expert on governance. Maybe you can enhance on that.
Thank you, Sir Basar. No, actually, anak ko din yan. No. Anyway, to me, I think the keynote speaker, the president, no less than the president of ICP, has prescribed to us a platform that we can adapt in order. I'm addressing this to Sir, no? If ever na his lecture will be actually shown here in the last slide, there is nothing I think that I could still add to what he really espoused as a platform for the Philippines to adapt in order for us to have a sustainable growth in Islamic finance, especially to assist our journey in the Islamic finance. Besides, I think the good speaker, Ms. Aripa, has already told us some milestone, the effort or achievement that the Philippines already have, like not only the formulation of several Republic Act, but she also speak about, and including the BARM yesterday, have already spoke about installing some measure or creation of some regulatory Sharia board. I think if you listen to Ma'am Arifa, you will you'll be happy and inspired that in the Philippines, it seems that we have really stepped up or moved up in our effort to adopt Islamic finance in the Philippines, because he have shown how the Bangko Sentral of the Philippines had really make an effort in instituting the laws, the proper laws, and also the proper body for us to adopt Islamic finance. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That was well thought, and thank you very much for that sharing. And due to the element of time, I am afraid that we cannot really have another question for that. And may I just ask some of the members if you have some other thoughts, final thoughts, before we can finally end this session?
Okay, so just my final thoughts a bit, again, on what we believe on with regards to the development of Islamic finance. The first part of developing Islamic finance to ensure Sharia compliance is the easy part, is the first part. But the next part, in terms of ensuring that it achieves the maqasid al-Sharia, that is where we need to make more effort, right? So it's easy to have halal food, but it's not easy to have nutritious and tayyib food.
Correct.
So this is also, I think, should be considered when it comes to the development of Islamic finance across ASEAN, across the world. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ma'am Hidayati. In consonance to the response of Ma'am Mayo a while ago, and maybe a last few notes.
Yes, I think for the young generation to introduce or to know the Islamic finance early, I agree with the speaker here to start from home. The family is the best role for and the best place for teaching the Islamic finance. Thank you.
That's very true. Thank you very much, Dr. Zain.
Personally, I have nothing much to say, actually. But yeah, I think the questions raised by the previous
Yes.
audience earlier, I think it's all about compromising with each other. We always talk about conventional finance versus Islamic finance, but I don't see it that way. I see it's about how do we respect each other and how do we really embrace Islamic finance and how it contributes to SDG. You know, when we see that the non-Muslims come to this particular conference to learn about Islamic finance, this is something good. It shows that they are compromising with us. They want to learn from us. So for me, it's not about conventional versus Islamic finance, but it's all about embracing Islamic finance principle and to really see how it really impacts us, the whole nation, regardless whether we are Muslims or non-Muslims. I think this is much of our major concerns. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So, ladies and gentlemen, my key takeaways that we have from the speakers is that overall, they have actually highlighted the potential of Islamic finance to, of course, drive sustainable development, as we have shown in all of their presentations, and emphasizing its inherent foundation and alignment to sustainable development. And of course, once again, I would like to invite everyone to give a round of applause for our 4 panel speakers. And of course, we would like to take this opportunity to stand with me and of course, give this session to the Master of Ceremony for the last few words, and at the same time, the recognition to be given to our panel of speakers. Once again, I am your moderator for today, and let's give them a round of applause. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Yusuf, for skillfully guiding us through that plenary session. To honor their invaluable contributions, we would like to present each of our plenary speakers with a plaque and a token of appreciation. May I invite on stage the MSU Academic Affairs Vice President Dr. Hasmina Dimalna CPA to be assisted by the President of the International Council of Islamic Finance Educators, Professor Azmi Umar, and MSU's Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance, Attorney Saaduddin M. Alawiya Jr. to help with the awarding. Let me read the citation. Mindanao State University and International Council of Islamic Finance Educators present this plaque of appreciation to Dr. Syed Marwan Mujahid Said Azman, Head of Program, Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, IIUM, in grateful recognition for sharing his invaluable expertise and experience as plenary speaker during 12th ASEAN Universities International Conference on Islamic Finance. Given the 17th of Jumada Al-Awwal 1446 Al-Hijri, 19th of November 2024 at Limkit Kai Lux Hotel, Cagayan de Oro City, Philippines. Signed, Attorney Saaduddin M. Alawiya Jr., Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance. Signed, Attorney Basari D. Mapupuno, MSU System President. Signed, Professor Emeritus Dato Dr. Muhammad Azmi Umar, AICIF President. With the same citation, this plaque is awarded to Dr. Minumbao Ramos Mayo. Another plaque is presented to Professor Dr. Noor Hidayati. We also have the plaque for Dr. Muhammad Zaki bin Zaini. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Let us give one final round of applause for our plenary speakers. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, we are privileged to have the Vice President of Maybank Philippines who will deliver a keynote address. He will share his perspectives on the evolving role of Islamic finance in the region. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Rajagopal Ramasamy on stage with a warm round of applause.
Assalamualaikum. Magandang umaga. Good morning. Selamat pagi to Professor Emeritus Dr. Muhammad Azmi. We have here also Dr. Muhammad Yaakob. Not sure if he's here. My special greetings to Attorney A.G. Harifa from the Central Bank of the Philippines. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, can reduce the echo? Reduce the echo, please. Again, very good morning, and on behalf of Maybank Islamic Group Malaysia, I want to thank you for the invitation extended to us in this auspicious event organized by the for the 12th Asian Universities Conference on Islamic Finance. So I will make very simple presentation on Maybank's involvement, especially for the inclusion of Islamic banking in the Philippines. So I'm going to cover, if I can share the slides. Yeah, next slide, please. So this is will be my scope. We'll touch the importance of Islamic finance globally. Is far enriching, far growing very fast. You may be surprised to see the numbers if you are not keeping track, right? I'll be covering some of the Maybank Group Islamic presence in the region, and a little bit of Islamic contracts in the Islamic finance. And my focus will be item number 5, which is the Maybank Islamic in the Philippines. So we want to be part of the journey that Maybank Islamic has made. If you can move to the slide number, next slide, Islamic finance at glance, right? So as you can see the numbers, Islamic finance is no longer a small play, right? It is no longer a side banking or side bar. it is the core of financing globally, right? For the last year itself, Islamic finance accounted for 4.5 trillion US dollar. And globally, we have 1,800 over banks and financial institutions offering financial services to the world, right? So the key point from this slide is Islamic finance is gaining strength, and as we can see that the expansion of not only those from the Middle East banks, but also from the regional banks. From Malaysia, for example, Maybank, we are even now in the Philippines already, right? You can move to the next slides. In Malaysia, the Islamic finance ecosystem, Malaysia is ranked number 1 with a growing market share in Malaysia with 45.6% in Islamic finance and 42% in Islamic deposits and investment account, right? And we continue to leverage on the financial sector blueprint, which is also supported by the Bank Negara Malaysia, the Central Bank of Malaysia. And this has not done by, it's not achieved overnight, it has been done over the four decades. If you look at the history, what Malaysia today in Islamic finance, it was a journey 40 years ago. And it is a concerted effort by all stakeholders, including the government. So I will skip this. Next slide is the journey of milestone Islamic finance, 1963, and where we are today. For the next slide, we can see Malaysia's Islamic finance landscape, right? In the Philippines, I think we only have 3 for now, including Maybank. We have Card Bank and Alamana, but we are there. We only had 1, I think, 2 years ago, but today we have 3. That's a great achievement, and I would attribute or give the credit to the Central Bank of the Philippines for driving this expansion of Islamic finance in the Philippines. Especially for Maybank, I would say that Attorney Arifah, AJ Arifah is the pillar for opening of Maybank Islamic in terms of approval of the license, the support that she has given. And we have launched our first branch or Islamic pilot in Zamboanga City on the 14th of August. And as of today, I'm proud to say that we have exceeded all the targets that we set for the branch. And this is definitely a success story that will drive us to open more, including one in the CDO here. So this page here is showing in Malaysia. I assume there are guests in Malaysian here, so this is not new for you. For the locals, we have many banks, almost all banks in Malaysia are offering Islamic finance as part of their offering. Some are separate, some operating as a window, right? And you can see the foreign ownership. We have the 4 banks there, Al-Raji, HSBC, Standard Chartered, and OCBC. They are also offering Islamic. So Islamic banking or Islamic finance gaining strength year on year. For the effective functioning of Islamic, what is called is in Malaysia is the Act. So since all academicians here, this would be probably the interest for you. Okay, the next slide, yeah. So the financial blueprint of 2022-2026, this is the new one. Malaysia, the central bank had the earlier one when we started. It's like a growth blueprint, growth blueprint. So for now, the acts that governing Islamic finance, we have the Central Bank Malaysia Act, we have the Islamic Financial Services Act, Capital Market Service Act, and Government Funding Act 1983, and the other one is the Malaysia Deposit Insurance Corporation Act. So with these four structural framework, Malaysia was able to offer the four Islamic finance sector, right? Banking, capital market, takaful, and money market, Islamic money market. So Malaysia is very matured market in Islamic finance, very matured. You can have any products all available, and digitally we are very advanced, right? And Maybank is proud to take the lead. Maybank Islamic, Maybank KL, Maybank Islamic in Malaysia started as a window, just like the Philippines. Today, Maybank Philippines, we have Maybank Philippines here for the last 27 years. In the Philippines, we are operating for 27 years. And we are conventional bank, but similar to what Maybank Islamic started earlier as a window, Maybank Philippines started Islamic window this year in August, as I mentioned earlier. So we are operating 60 branches throughout the country, right? And we have quite significant number of branches in Mindanao. We have in Davao, in Jensan, Zamboanga. We have one right here in CDO. Branch manager is here, Ms. Matet. So the window model is the one that we are approaching now, right? So overview of Islamic group for your knowledge and appreciation. How much emphasis the group, Maybank Islamic Group, is giving to Islamic finance. You can see from the next slide. Yeah. So this is the house of Maybank. M25 is Maybank plan for 2025, right? So if you can see, we have the 6 pillar there, right? And global leader in Islamic finance is one of our pillar, meaning that is the focus of Maybank Islamic. And to deliver or to operate, to visualize or to operationalize, to make sure this comes into success. Under M25, we have 12, we call it specific program, SP. And each SP led by a lot of work stream, team of work stream. And one of it, the SP number 5, is dedicated for Islamic banking leadership. So meaning in Maybank, overall Maybank plan, M25 plan, Islamic finance is one of our key that we want to see growth. And part of that, the expansion to the Philippines was taken up, right? Just for your knowledge, Maybank Islamic is a subsidiary of Maybank Group. Next slide. Thank you. Right. So we have 4 line of businesses here. Maybank, the top one is our parent company, Maybank. And then under that, we have all these 4: Islamic, investment, asset management, and insurance, takaful or etika, we call them. So in the Philippines also same, right? We have Maybank Philippines, we have Etika Philippines, we have Maybank Investment Philippines, and we have Maybank Securities, dealing with the shares, right? So under the Maybank Philippines, we have a window now. So we are starting with a window to offer Islamic product and services. Next slide shows the Maybank Group's presence and credential throughout the world. Okay, we are the number 5, world's number 5, right? But technically it's number 4 actually. Largest bank in offering Islamic. Globally, number 5, and in Asia is number first in Asia, Asian countries, and first in Malaysia. So the largest Islamic bank by asset size. So you don't have to worry when Islamic bank comes to the Philippines under the banner of Islamic. We have full structure. One of the speakers used to be our Sharia committee. Before I just had a chat with him. So we have a full established foundation, framework, policies, committees, product, services, process. So when BSP, Central Bank of Philippines, was looking at Maybank, when we came in, it was on the leverage model, meaning we were fully supported by Maybank Islamic from Malaysia. So, because what is critical is the Sharia principle to be complied when we expand or offer products. So, this will also increase our acceptance by the community. Although we offer Islamic product for everyone, Islamic is for all. It is not only for the Muslim believers, but for all. So I will just skip this slide. There's a time track for me already there. Okay, the next slide is just showing the journey that Maybank Group has taken through. So I want to spend this little bit time on the slide. Next slide, yeah, this one. All right. What it takes for us to be the true leader. Okay, so we are always customer-centric in Islamic financial institution. So meaning we strive to give solution without compromising on Islamic Sharia principles. Try to offer solution to individuals, to business, right? This is the priority, client-centric, right? Number two is we want to digitalize Islamic finance. Attorney Arifah keeps asking me when my app's going to come. Soon, right? But today, we can online. If you want to open an Islamic banking account in the Philippines, you can go Maybank to you online and open. The apps, we have to include it. In KL, we have already in Malaysia, but here in the Philippines, we just launched the Maybank to you just last month in the Philippines. So we have to include the Islamic offering there. So digitalizing finance, Islamic finance is one of it. More than our offering, we also do a lot of partnership, joint ventures with other offering. One of the one that I mentioned, I was here just 2 weeks ago for Halal Convention here in the same hall here, organized by the Chambers of CDO Chambers of Commerce. So I was telling them that Maybank has a partner with the Borong, BORONG. It's for SME. This platform offers financing, offers meet the client, matching the client. You know, it's really suitable for many SMEs. Now, I won't spend time here, but if you want to know more later, we can see me. I can give more details. Right? So pillar number 3 is sustain group leadership domestic. So we want to continue to expand our dominance in local market and also in regional market. Right? Number 4, Philippines is here because of number 4. We want to strengthen international presence. Right? There are many other countries that we are already there. Okay, and the new one is the pillar number 5. So it's leadership in the Islamic social finance. Right? Social finance is another key area that we can play together. Right? And also sustainability and ethical banking. Okay, the next slide shows the global Islamic banking position as of March. The other one shows numbers, a lot of numbers here. I will skip that. I will also skip what is Islamic finance, number 19. I think I'll assume everyone knows what is Islamic finance and what are the values that Islamic finance offer. This is 101. The difference between slide number, next slide please, next one. These are the accolades and whatever we have received, right? Basic information, I would not spend time here. Yeah, this is the key difference between the Islamic finance and conventional finance. Why we want to, this, although it looks simple, but people still struggle to understand this, right? So I'll just go to the Sharia contract number 22. Okay, so as all of us know, Islamic finance has to be on contract basis, Sharia contract, which is offer and acceptance and contracting parties and underlying assets. Right, we cannot deviate from this to offer in offering Islamic products and services. Next slide shows the classification of Sharia contracts. Very detailed slides here. Many information here. Just showing a takeaway here is we have all these akads, right, or the contracts in place, all detailed, drawn by Maybank Islamic. Although it is here, all these commodity murabaha, ijara, you know, mudarabah, card and ranu here, if anyone, including Maybank Philippines, if I want to offer any of this product, I still have to go back to the Sharia committee for the approval. So that process we cannot deviate. Doesn't mean I take and I roll, no. Right? There is Sharia compliance, Sharia committee in centralized in Maybank Islamic Malaysia. We have to follow that process and they have to approve. Even for the same product, if I offer in different location, I still need to go and get the approval. So it's quite rigid, quite detailed, quite, it's not, we don't take it easy, right, in terms of compliance side, right? Okay, this, the next slide may be your interest, okay, is the Islamic product that Maybank Islamic offers today. All right, you can see we cover everything already, right? From deposit product, all kind of deposit, savings account, current deposit, saving deposits, right? All Islamic, Islamic savings, Islamic current, right? Islamic fixed deposit or term deposit, call it. And then we have on the financing side, all sort of financing. Right? Maybank group has retail financing, corporate financing. And then on the investment account, all right, we also have, you can open account to invest. And then we have on the liability wakala for the Maybank e-wallet. This is in KL for now. So what we have in the Philippines now is only deposit for now, right? We want to take it slow. So we have in Zamboanga branch or even online, you can register and open Islamic deposit account, right? By end of this, we have a plan that we submitted to the central bank. We have to follow the plan. They will also check whether I'm following the plan or not. We'll be offering financing soon, right? We're thinking about 3 products. Number 1, housing. Number 2, auto. And number 3 is SME loan. Right? These 3 products we will do. And of course, credit card, Islamic credit card will come. Right? So Islamic credit card is the next slide. How it operates. This slide shows how we operate the credit card. This will be followed by the Islamic credit card offered in Malaysia. Right? We will follow the same principle and offer it here. Right now we have a conventional credit card in the Philippines. Right? For Islamic we will introduce very soon. Right? And the next slide shows the difference between conventional and Islamic credit card. Right? So in the interest of time, I'll move to the focus area. So we want to create difference and refine our value drivers. Slide number 29. 29. Next. Yep. Okay. I mean, since this is a conference, we need to think, or I would like to speak on strategies. How can we drive Islamic finance in the Philippines, right? And especially among the learning institutions, right? So for 2025, this is our plan, right? So we want to grow. Super growth area is the Islamic wealth management, right? Islamic wealth management will be a super growth area, meaning we will focus more on individual, high net worth individual, to offer them financial product for investment, right? So wealth management is just like a premier client in conventional, right? We have a premier client offering premier products, unit trust, investment products and things like that. For we will expand the growth for Islamic wealth management side, individual, for individual. And number two, we want to focus for the next year, for 2025, we have a halal, value-driven platform that connects and elevates halal ecosystem player. This is what is a signature business. We have an exclusive partnership with Borong, BORONG.com. If you have a time, you Google and see if you're a business people. It's a wonderful, very strong platform that very enriching, following Islamic principle, okay, from offering financing to certification, halal certification, and then they'll market your product, and Maybank is partnering it with Borong, right? And where Maybank will come, we will do facilitation. We'll facilitate the certification process of the SMEs, of the client. We have success story, huge success story in Malaysia. Interestingly, those taken up are non-Muslim in Malaysia. Non-Muslim businessmen, business companies, they have taken this halal certification so that now they have a halal, for example, in restaurant, right? They are offering halal food and drinks, right? So the market is more open up for everyone, right? So the similar thing can happen here, right? You can certify. I mean, halal certification is a core. If you want to go ecosystem without halal certification, everyone will have issues. Financing will have issues. Your suppliers will have issues. You know, the raw materials you get to run the business, you'll have issues. So halal certification is key for halal economy, and we want to be part of this. Be a facilitator, support and help, right? Not only in the financing side, beyond financing. Okay, number three is the international, all right? Currently we are top 3 in Indonesia, number 3, Islamic, number 1 in Singapore, and Maybank, MIB Dubai. It's a gateway for the Gulf region. So in Philippines, we are already, so this is for 2025, right? For 2024, Philippines already included here. And pillar number 4 is intensify BAU, right? Of course, number 5, we want to solidify funding. Funding is issue. Let me be very frank or honest. Okay, we have issues in getting Islamic funding, right? I appreciate the leverage given by the community. For example, the Zamboanga Muslim community are very supportive. As I mentioned earlier, Zamboanga targets exceeded. We have exceeded our target for Islamic deposit. Very strong support we are getting. You know, so when we have this Islamic deposit, we can move on to Islamic financing. So number 6 is the digitalization and customer centricity, okay, enabling Islamic finance. We have a BAS program, it's a super growth platform. This is for deposit product. It's being worked out in KL now. They have launched in Indonesia. I'm targeting middle of 2025 for the Philippines. This is online end-to-end deposit account, deposit. And then of course number 7 is sustainability and ethical financing, right? So I think I've exceeded my time. We have solution, Maybank Islamic solution. I just want to go to the last offering, the second last page, Maybank Islamic. Sorry, I just take a minute to explain this. So these are the solution that we give right now: retail banking, individual, okay, and the approach, the solution, and the target segments that we have, right? SME is something that we want to grow. In the Philippines, my desire is to offer the Islamic SME first, right? We are working on it. Most likely by first quarter next year, we can roll out this Islamic SME loans, right? Corporate banking, we have solutions already. Okay, this one will be included when we expand after the SME, and investment and asset management. One area there is not here is the sukuk. We are also eager to take on sukuk. We are talking with some organizers that Maybank Philippines can participate and offer sukuk. Of course, we will get the clearance from the Central Bank of Philippines. And takaful is another area, right? We're going to drive through Maybank Etika in the Philippines and offer takaful in all our branches, 60 branches, right? Takaful can be offered to everyone in the Philippines because this is part of the Etika, Maybank Etika, right? So with this slide, I move to the next one is some good news, some latest innovation that we have. The credit card, My Impact credit card, it is value proposition, very interesting, very appealing to the younger generation, the millennials. We're going to do a zakat auto debit, the halal ecosystem that I mentioned earlier, digital SME financing. We will start Islamic financing first in the Philippines, and then we move to digital. And the gold Islamic gold account, this is already there, right? We are already offering here. I'm one of the investor. It's very interesting product. You buy online, you invest in Islamic gold online. Every time you buy, let's say you buy 100-gram gold, I have to make sure in the store I have the physical bar. It's not based on quoted on the London Stock Exchange punya harga, the price, but the actual bar is you must be there. So when I want to cash out, let's say I want to liquid, I want to take, I have an option to take in cash or take the gold bar. So very interesting product. And yeah, EV financing also is one of our area that we are looking at now, right? So for now, for Philippines, there will be 2 products that's coming on, My Impact Card and SME financing, right? I think I will end here, and the last slide is, there is, can we move the last slide? Yeah, you can, if you have, I'm sure you have a lot of questions, please scan the QR here. You can provide feedback, you can ask questions, and this is from KL. The experts will be the one answering any queries you have, any need you need, right? Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ramasamy, for the wealth of knowledge and experience you have shared today. As a manifestation of our sincere appreciation, we request you to stay on stage to receive our humble token and a plaque of appreciation. To award these, may I also request the presence of MSU System Assistant Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Hasmina Dimalna, to be assisted by the AICIF President, Dr. Omar, and MSU Vice Chancellor for Administration and Finance, Attorney Alawiya Jr. Mindanao State University and International Council of Islamic Finance Educators present this plaque of appreciation to Rajagopal Ramasamy, Executive Vice President and Officer, Maybank, Vice President, Maybank, Philippines, in grateful recognition for sharing his invaluable expertise and experience as keynote speaker during the 12th ASEAN Universities International Conference on Islamic Finance. Given the 17th of Jumada al-Awwal, 1446 al-Hijri, 19th of November 2024 at Limkit Kai Lux Hotel, Cagayan de Oro City, Philippines. Signed by the head organizers. Please pose for a photo to commemorate this moment. Once again, let's give a round of applause to Mr. Ramasamy. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now break for lunch and duhur prayer. For the duhur prayer, you may use the same prayer space as yesterday. Lunch is also ready and has been arranged at the edges of the hall. Please feel free to help yourselves. We hope you enjoyed the meal, and we will reconvene for the next plenary session at exactly 1 p.m. Thank you so much. And we want you to enjoy the video recordings presented yesterday.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. 12th ASEAN Universities International Conference on Islamic Finance, AICIF 2024, organized by